Why the red pill? Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah. Why the red pill is slowly collapsing. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the idea of the red pill, but as in any good idea, there are always ultra radicals. And the ultra radicals often take the general idea way too far as it should be. So instead of actually providing good ideas, no, a lot of them start looking like misogynists, like sexists, and stuff like this, which is actually very bad because this is not what this movement pushes at all. But let's see what Jen has to say about it. I can see by his face that he's already very excited about it. Yeah, just look how happy he looks.
So as a disclaimer, I actually know Sneeko personally. We've interviewed twice at this point. I like to say that I consider him a friend. So for added context, there's been this viral tweet by this guy
Really?
named Rollo Tomosi, who's this father of the red pill, as he self-proclaimed.
I watched like once when he debated with Sneeko and Destiny. That was a disaster, honestly. It was a very, very bad disaster.
He led a tweet explaining how to become a high-value man.
Yeah.
And in one of the points, he's talking about how men in the...
Yeah, like what did Jesus? Like... I mean... Yeah, but... Like the first point, do not get married. That makes you a high-value man. Quickest path to become one, do not get married. How do you even connect them? He can't explain, I believe. But let's watch like what he said. That was like way funnier.
20s need to get a vasectomy. So this is what they're talking about. So let's see how Sneeko starts pushing back against the red pill.
We saw Rollo said something yesterday on Twitter saying that men should get vasectomies in their 20s just to prevent this, which I completely disagree with. I think that it's important to have family values and to prepare for eventual parenthood.
Yeah.
But that's the cope that a lot of men have. Like, why raise a family in this scenario? Why like risk having a child with somebody who's wanting to build an empire or wanting to be as famous as Rihanna when you could just play it safe and do the snip snip?
So it's an interesting point.
Interesting
so just
point.
like any
Yeah.
movement, right? The red pill movement has a lot of hypocrisies. And I think the more extreme a movement gets, the more it cracks in hypocrisies that
Exactly.
it starts to reveal.
That's like every movement. That's what's happening to a lot of liberals nowadays, unfortunately. It's not the worst movement, let's be honest. But it cracks into hypocrisy.
The red pill like creators, right? They started preaching these things like, to become a high value male, you gotta fuck a lot of bitches, and marriage is for chumps, and you have to have open marriages where you have 10 different girlfriends.
Yeah,
but then
stupid.
at the same time, right, they're also preaching to women how, you know, women need to be loyal, how they need to be submissive. But for the average dude, how do they attract like another high quality woman that they can be in a relationship with if that's the kind of things that they're exercising, right? So I will assure you that there's a lot of women that if you start spewing a lot of these red pill ideologies, they'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? So with that being said, right, there's definitely some merit to a lot of the things that red pill people are saying, but when it becomes contradictory like that, you need to really examine it and ensure that if you're a consumer of this type of content, that you're exercising your own judgment and not becoming a bot that they're telling you not to be.
Same thing. Like there is a difference. Bots are everywhere, even in the good places. The goal is not to be a bot anywhere. In any movement that you go, the goal is not to be a bot.
But I disagree with him completely. I want to know what you think about that. Rollo, like the godfather red pill, who's pretty much like created a lot of these ideologies. He's saying
Actually, never like before his debate with Destiny and Sneeko, I never heard about him. Well, Sneeko was actually the one who I started like watching. He was the first red pillar who I started watching, and then I already jumped into all the other guys. But yeah, interesting how it all developed.
like avoid having a family. I think that's complete cope. Like that's just that's when it becomes a black hole and really kind of black. Like
I think
sad.
I agree. Yeah, because I have noticed this about a lot of these red pill creators. They kind of present like this persona of like they get a bunch of bitches and they put this persona
bunch of bitches,
how,
bunch
like,
of money, and that's the
and
goal.
Status is kind of like this ultimate pursuit. But I completely disagree, man. I think, you know, whether you want a family or not, relationships is the most important thing to life. And if you're 60 and you're a billionaire, and
remember what Barney Stinson said in How I Met Your Mother? it's not legendary unless your friends are there to see it. So he says, like, who gives a thing if you achieved all that? If there's no one around you for whom you can help it, for whom you can provide it, for whom it will be actually something good. Because again, and this red pillar also criticized, like, you can't just be good for yourself, or a lot of red pillar bots. They say, no, you have to be like better than everyone else, not just better than you were the day before, no, better than everyone else. Like, then obviously you need interaction with other people. And relationships and family, and if you talk to the most basic red pillar movement guys, they actually talk about the importance of the family and how it's actually valued, and how the biggest thing, I mean, take Justin Waller, the biggest thing that he probably loves in his life are his daughters. I can assure you.
You have no friends or family to kind of share that with. I don't think there's a sadder existence than that. And look, I'm not going to name any names, but I actually know of these multimillionaire dudes that are in their 40s and 50s, and it's lonely. Like, you can see it in their eyes. It's lonely. I mean, they're hanging out with 24, 25-year-olds on a random Tuesday so they can be around people. It's sad. And I used to think that like money and status and building big businesses was kind of like the ultimate pursuit. But the older I got, I realized, like, at the end of the day, all that is great and all. And I think taking account, getting your finances in order and becoming the best version of yourself is still paramount. Without a family or anything to share that with, it's literally meaningless.
Nothing, yeah.
And I think that although maybe red pill movements can get someone who hasn't really dove into self-improvement to get off their ass and go to the gym and work on themselves, I think when it becomes extreme like that and they're telling young men to get a vasectomy, I don't think that's the right way to build a self-sustaining society. And especially men that are going to teach the next generation these types of ideals. Like, how are you going to do that, right? Are you just going to keep going on the internet and telling young men to get a vasectomy? I don't think that's the way to inspire the next generation.
Marketplace that we're in, it's a reasonable strategy.
Avoid family?
Well, here's the thing. The upsides are great, but the downsides will absolutely demolish you. I mean, you can look at the Tradcons right now.
Who gives a big fat fuck about the downsides? Like, honestly, this is what I never understand in people in general. The only reason you would do something is for the good things, right? Otherwise, if you like would do something for the bad, you wouldn't do it, because why would you look then on the bad? That's why people risk. That's why people try. Yeah, that's why people also fail. But you do all these things for the good result, for what you actually need. Like for something important, something valuable. So he's like, yeah, the upsides are great, but you know, the downsides are kind of, you're gonna not get 20 million, or you're not gonna be somewhere. I'm not trying to say, yeah, forget like status, forget money, just concentrate. No, be a better version of yourself. Be a good, actually high quality man. I can define that. I have my own definition of it. Which I still believe is the most correct. But now with these, like what Myron's saying right now, I think this is complete bullshit.
That's going through. I mean, look at Steven Crowder right now, bro. So it's like, and I think that's why so many guys are going abroad, because at least there, like, the women value family more than here. I mean, a lot of the girls here said, I want a family, but if you notice, like, the things that they're working on isn't necessarily to be a better mom. So I think one or two of you guys mentioned that.
I mean, you gotta say the same thing for, let's say, Myron or Fresh in this case, or like the other co-hosts, right? If you're gonna be like preaching these types of things, are you becoming like the high quality dad that these types of girls that want to settle into a family would want to be with? I don't know. I mean, I don't know them personally, but
not many of you. Most of you guys were prioritizing your career and your education, your own self-improvement, which is great. That's fantastic. But that's more of a masculine thing. Like, you got to ask yourself, is the guy that you want, is he going to want that back in return? Is he going to want another him? I mean, would you guys, what if I lined up a bunch of dudes here and I said, what are y'all going to do to get the wife of your dreams? And they all said, oh, well, I'm getting manicures. I'm buying really nice designer. I'm getting dressed up really well. I'm doing my eyebrows. I'm getting haircuts every week. Would y'all take those guys seriously?
No.
Probably not, right? Because the things they're working on only benefit them, not necessarily you, right?
100% what Jen's gonna say.
So, I mean, that's kind of how you got to look at it from the male perspective. Like, it's great
Nico's
that you guys
not
are
happy.
working on your money and everything, but it doesn't really benefit us as men. Some of the girls here are foreign, but they still have fairly Western values, right? If we went to Romania or something like that, when we were there, like girls aren't going to say, "Oh yeah, my career and making money." They're like, "Fuck that shit, I want to be home."
But
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's definitely cultural and societal
True.
influences
Cultural
where
effect.
maybe
Muslim.
women in certain
Take Muslim
definitely
countries.
prioritize more family, and I think a big part of that is that cultural or tradition.
Yes.
But then there's also things like there's less economic options for women to be able to work in those countries, right?
Also
I
true.
think it's undoubtedly that, let's say, America has more opportunities for both men and women when it comes to certain career fields than, let's say, Romania. So there's also limitations that women have when it comes to that.
The obsession, well, like the reason he said that is like how to become a high value man. The obsession with becoming high status and having other people admire you instead of reach your peak happiness, which is having a family. That's where it becomes kind of bleak. Like,
Exactly.
what makes you high value?
I would never want to like achieve something big if at the end of the day I have no one to share it with. Like honestly, family is the big ultimate goal of anyone. I believe. And this is like they are what keeps us, like relationships are what keep us alive every day. To be fair, interactions with other people, at the end of the day, you will need to interact throughout life, and when everyone's interacting, you can't just like go and live by yourself, sit by yourself. You need people to love in your life, and that actually explains a lot why there's no still big genius who took over our world. Because if you take away love, you can become the most powerful person in the world by by only using rational thinking. But it's actually love that drives this paradox of uncertainty in life, if I can say so. I hope some of you got my point.
Other people's perception, having a lot of money, having a network, like why does that matter? Why does being a high value man matter if you're not going to eventually start a family?
Because
that's true, right? Because at the end of the day, like what all of us are trying to do in some way, in some part, and some people may not make the choice to, is that we want to leave a legacy, right?
Yeah.
And usually that's in the form of like a family or passing it on to your
That's
next
why
generation.
I call it empire.
Some people don't want that, and that's completely fine. But I guess like if you're gonna build up a lot of this value, essentially what you want to be able to do is pass it on to someone. I think a lot of the red pill is preaching at this point, especially with Rollo's tweet saying get a vasectomy, is deprioritizing building a family, deprioritizing taking certain risks like marriage, because yes, marriage is absolutely scary, especially for a lot of men, right?
What isn't scary? Many people did this, however, the actual percent of marriages that end in divorce in the US varies. Let's talk about the 60% that don't. You know how many people on this earth are poor? I don't care. Let's look at those who are like rich. Like, why would I look at the bad stats if you want the good stats? And the good doesn't happen without risk. It's simple as that. Who doesn't risk doesn't drink. That's the ultimate rule of life.
50% of divorces, and a lot of family courts definitely do not favor men. So I understand there's a lot of risks, but shouldn't a high value man be willing to take those risks with the right woman? Like, why do you have to take such extreme measures? What I'm guessing too is that he's promoting vasectomies so men can stay on their purpose and not get distracted by women. But shouldn't like the marker of a high value man too to be disciplined on your own is that still have temptations in your face but ignore it,
control
and stay focused on their own, right?
Exactly.
Shouldn't that be more of a marker of a high value male instead of chopping off your dick?
look at all the girls here. They're all propping themselves up to be that high value man. That's why.
Just to
Well, and we're calling that bleak, and we're calling that out and saying it's empty. So why are we advocating for the same thing on the other side?
Because it's not going to change, bro. Feminism is here and it's not going anywhere. Like, women will not concede whatsoever. Like, they're going to continue to make money. They're going to continue to gain status. They're going to continue to, go up the ranks. Women are going to out earn men in the next 20 years. I predict it. They're dominating men when it comes to college
being
graduation.
bleak about it is kind of a waste, because we've seen some
That's a good point. Look, I think no matter what you think about, I think his name is Myron or Fit, it's part of the Fresh and Fit podcast. No matter what your opinion about him, he's definitely like a smart and articulate guy.
Exactly.
I definitely do not agree with all of his beliefs, but he's definitely smart. But you can tell here that he's kind of, I don't know if he like truly believes it or he's trying to kind of save face for Rollo Tomosi, which seems to be like a big idol for him as the godfather of the red pill. But
maybe
also,
maybe that
Sneeko,
as well.
Man. I think no matter what you think about him, also that guy like always is changing his opinion. And, you know, some people might call him a grifter in that sense. But no,
kind
I
of
think a good way to
switches
look
a
at
bit.
it is that he's constantly opening his mind to be able to change his opinions, right? He's always experiencing new things to be able to have different perspectives. Look, I definitely do not agree with a lot of the things that he says as well, but I
True.
definitely respect him for that in the sense that he's able to look at both sides. You know,
It would
the
be
past year he
super
made-
weird if we respected and agreed with everything anyone says. And moreover, if we disagreed with everything that someone said just because they said it. That's kind of how it works. Yeah, 1 second, I just need to check a message.
will lean a little bit more to the extremes, but it's also cool to see now how he's starting to kind of form his own independent thoughts. Not that he hasn't been, but I think we're starting to see a bit of the old Sneeko back.
I think your answer
Yes.
is exactly what I saw girls in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, that's actually true. He was like on top, then I think messed it up a bit. And the things he's saying here, I actually do respect him. Nice.
Doing trying to
W,
get closer to
man.
God, working on their health, working on making sure they're emotionally mature. That's what Eastern European women are doing. So it's not like you can't just put a blanket over all the women here and say give up and cut off your fucking balls from your dick so that you can.
No, I get that. I'm all for families, man. I've always said it. The nuclear family is the backbone of any thriving society. However, when half the equation of having a nuclear family doesn't necessarily prioritize a nuclear family, as a man, you got to make some adaptations, because if you do make
Sure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just like in any sort of two groups are
True.
linked together, one group's reaction is based on another group's action,
Exactly.
right? So if men start acting a certain way, women are going to react in a certain
Probably,
way.
yeah.
If it's vice versa, right? If women act in a certain way, men are going to start reacting and changing their habits and such. That's why we've seen
And that's the
different
other
sorts
way
of
around,
generations
actually. That's how a lot of men changed after feminism got more popular. That's exactly it. W Gen.
evolve as society has progressed. So with that being said, right, I think that's a very extreme reaction to an action, in the sense that just because I guess, you know, maybe many women aren't having as kids or prioritizing family, maybe they're prioritizing more work, that doesn't mean that you should cut your goddamn nuts off or your supply off. You know what I mean?
a nuclear family with someone that isn't as interested in making a nuclear family with you, and they're, how do I say this? They're rewarded for leaving that nuclear family through divorce courts, alimony, etc. As a guy, you got to kind of reassess how you want to move. So I'm saying families are fantastic, but it's a very dangerous proposition in the West, the United States. That's my thing. But I'm all for families, though. I am, trust me. Come from a two-parent household. I would probably be a fucked up idiot if I didn't come from a two-parent household. But
A side comment here, but I think one of the biggest advantages that a person can have, and a lot of research backs this up, is having a two-parent household, right? I gotta say, I'm very fortunate to have a mom and dad that is still together, and I think being able to see that as an example has definitely helped me in life, right? Not only when it comes to like financial stability, but emotional stability. So there is definitely a huge advantage there. I think if someone is going to understand the value of that, as Myron is saying, right, then how can you kind of maybe advocate for a procedure that, yes, it can be reversed, but there definitely are instances where that can't be reversed, or it's not really meant to be reversed, right? Vasectomies, I think, are usually for maybe older men after they have a few kids, right, and they don't want to have any more. I don't think men in their 20s should be getting something like that, especially if they want kids in the future.
my parents are from the Middle East. They have different culture values. You know, religion is a thing. Here, religion isn't that big. Feminism is here. Women prioritize careers, just seen through. And all these girls are young, too. That's the crazy part. They're all young.
Panel.
You know what I mean? So
what's your take on this? I want to hear Fresh and Fit's take on this. There's 15,000 men watching for the most part. Should men in their 20s get a vasectomy?
Personally, I would say, looking at it from a holistic standpoint, I get what Rolo's saying for the whole topic itself of being high value, because once again, if you get a woman pregnant that's not there for you,
they do the same thing often and oftentimes. They get asked a simple question, they start explaining something he asked. Should? Yes or no? It's simple yes or no question.
she could be against you and it could turn into many different things. But personally, like I was saying earlier, for me, I do want a family. If I meet the right woman, I think is going to raise that child. But for most men,
Should or
I
not?
wouldn't say resources to find a woman that they want of their dreams, or even get the right woman, probably not. So to be safe, vasectomy might be in their best interest.
So
because,
yes.
No, I'm saying, okay, so...
Thanks, Nico. Like, you get asked yes or no, and you can't answer it. So Nico just cuts you in. Yeah, finally. Like, I'm starting to see a bit of the old Sneeko back. Not gonna lie.
That's on the individual.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of tiptoeing, right? Like I've seen a couple of like Fresh and Fit like clips, and they're always kind of like pressing women whenever they ask them a question, right? Then they actually like to
Exactly.
say like yes or no.
Yes or
when
no.
women start kind of like tiptoeing around
That's
the
just what I
answers to the
said.
question. But they're
That's
kind
just
of
what
doing
I
the
said.
same
Yes.
thing to like the question the Sneako's asking. Like, what do they actually think about this? Like,
Yeah.
are they
Yes
just
or
saying
no?
this so they kind of tiptoe and not offend Rolo, one
Exactly.
of their role models, or what's going on here?
That's what I'm saying. So it's up to the man to decide for himself. But I'm just saying, generally for me, I think family is very important. But I understand why most men might not want that because.
So yes or no?
That's actually good for you. Maybe kind of hard.
I think Sneeko is like getting desperate with it.
And might not want that because finding a woman that's actually good for you.
Like he also wants. I think he actually also matured. I think you watched like even a clip from him a year ago. He looked like super young. I think he grew. I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched him that long. You know, I haven't been on the evolution of him. But yeah, I see him here as way older than he should be.
You maybe kind of hard. So I get
Ducking a little bit.
In America specifically.
in America, yeah.
In America, to be specific.
What do you think?
Let's get the ladies' takes on it, and then I'll give my opinion because I don't want to corrupt them with my take.
Okay.
All right, ladies.
Was that a dodge? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a dodge.
let's make this-
That's a dodge. That's a dodge, man. 100%. That's a dodge. Why wouldn't he say if he had a good answer?
a little bit more engaging. Let's say you have a son. He's 21 years old, building up a business, whatever it may be, is becoming somewhat successful. Actually, you know what? Let's say 30 years old, because let's be honest, 21-year-old guy's fucking useless. He ain't doing nothing with life. So 30-year-old guy, building up a business, he's on his way to becoming successful. Should he have a vasectomy, knowing how women move nowadays and how girls can trap guys? Should he have a vasectomy? We could start on the couch and then work our way.
Right, but his take, Rolo's take was that to be a high-value man,
You
the
need a
top three
vasectomy,
steps,
yes.
Avoid family creation.
Yes.
Get a vasectomy.
Yeah.
And
That's
have a
what was
network.
weird.
It's just like the generic male self-improvement stuff, but no, like two of the top three: get a vasectomy and avoid family creation. Do you agree?
No.
Did he say avoid? I don't think
Yes.
he said
Yes,
avoid.
he
Word
said
for
avoid.
word.
He said
Avoid
avoid.
family creation.
It's on Twitter.
Top three
It's a
steps to
long
become a
list.
high-value man.
Okay, I didn't see this tweet. I'll have to
Yeah.
take a look at it. But I mean, here's the thing. I think what he means by that is being the most. When he says high value man, he's talking from the perspective of being able to be a playboy and get as many girls.
But why is that a
Why is
priority
that
over having a family? Like, why would that even be advice?
Let's go, Sneeko. I genuinely like Sneeko in this take. Not because like I'm also rooting, you know, for that side, but I think that a lot of the times that Sneeko might have had in the past is that when he sat with some colleagues of his, he kind of couldn't disagree with them on a lot of the takes. He just agreed, even like, I don't know if he actually agreed or he just like didn't want to hurt their feelings or what, but he also agreed a lot with them. And here Myron, who he like knows for a long time, with whom he spent a lot of time, and I think he actually respects him a lot, and he still, despite like anything, he still like argues with him and goes at criticizing, which is a good thing, because if someone is saying something bad, no matter how good you're looking on this person, you gotta point them out that.
Would that be male self-improvement advice? Be a playboy instead of raise a family?
Well,
we
that too, right? I think
Yes.
a lot of these self-improvements, kind of like the core message that they're telling young men is to become from boys to real
Man,
high-value
yes.
men, right? But in that instance, if they're advocating kind of like a playboy lifestyle until your 50s and 60s and forever, is that really, are they inspiring boys to become men? Like, I feel like that's just taking them down like
Yeah.
a lonelier path, in the sense
Yeah.
that, look, there are absolutely some people that are definitely happy and never wanted kids and are completely convicted at that. But if you're going to be continuing to advocate for a lifestyle that maybe some men don't
Exactly.
really want, but in this influential age, they think that this is kind of like the only way to become a high value men and, you know, starve off women forever. I don't know how that's going to contribute to like the gender dynamics that they say is kind of ripping apart society at the moment. Wouldn't that just make it worse?
make fun of women all days for wanting to be girl boss queens and sleep around and have all this, and then you tell guys be a playboy instead of
Yeah.
raise a family. That's the same advice on the other side.
Exactly.
Damn, it's crazy. I mean, Sneako's like, yeah, he's spitting facts, and you can kind of see Myron looks like nervous based on how he's
Yeah.
like shifting around in the table.
Here's the thing: when you're a playboy, you're going to be better at raising the family, and the reason.
But he's
for
saying
I'm not sure, but okay.
avoid family creation.
Yeah.
well,
Boom.
he's saying to be a high value. He's talking from the frame, knowing Rolo because I know him personally. He's talking from the frame of being a guy getting a lot of girls.
No,
Then
he said high value man. How do you like, man, Myron? That's why, like, one of the reasons I don't watch Fresh and Fit. I often get the sense that Myron is actually one of those red pill radical guys. Unfortunately, I often get this sense. He has takes where if you switch like his words to a liberal or like left like blue pill, let's say, people, you would see the complete like difference. It would be, you would hate that person, say that what are they talking about? A lot of the times he has these takes. He can say something smart, he has them. But yeah, if you want like a real radical red pillar, I would say that Myron is the guy. Although I agree with a lot of stuff he says, but again, as I said, the fact that you are doing something wrong in general doesn't mean that you're wrong 100% of the time.
if you decide you want to get a family down the road, you can always unsnip and then go ahead and go down the family route. But in today's day and age, I agree to a degree that you need to have sex with at least 50 girls as a guy. I talk about that all the time. It's controversial, but the reason why I say that is because most women are more promiscuous than most guys. So if you're a dude,
So you have to compensate it. Yeah, let's go. That's the perfect idea. You get what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, they're doing bad, so we're gonna do bad as well. No, that's not how the system works.
and you're getting out here and dating girls and you get your pee-pee wet with the first girl, she could sell you a dream and you're like, oh yeah, this is great. So guys got to get out there and be sexually experienced. So he's talking from the frame of being attractive.
Yeah, agreed. Like the transformation of Sneeko here, it kind of points out that he's been working out like a lot, to be fair.
I think most guys out here are not gonna be able to control their sexual urges. So he's saying as a
Oh, dude.
yeah.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The quick
Wait, so again, right, like I was saying earlier,
Again, Myron disputed on the tweet that he didn't say, or what? Isn't that like what we criticize when you talk about the blue pill movers?
if they can't control their sexual urges, shouldn't that be something that they work on through discipline? Like a lot of these ideals. that
Mind
they're kinda preaching?
control!
If you're gonna just take, I guess, like the easy way out and just take off the
Yes.
supply, how is that going to benefit you as like a man or any sort of person, right? If you're gonna always take the easy way route, there's no way you're gonna ever learn or become like this ideal man, especially if you're gonna just take the shortcut. Shouldn't you be building discipline so you're not out there fucking every hoe out there? I don't know.
quickest path to becoming a high value man. Do not get married, avoid family creation, vasectomy in your 20s, live consistently, eliminate all sedations, learn game and networking, play to your strengths, build wealth, resist easing up on your focus. He's talking about building, increasing your value when you're young.
He said, the quickest way to become a high value man.
Successful, yeah.
Becoming successful. Yeah.
Avoid family creation and get
Yes,
a
yeah, yeah, because
So I think a part of it too is that how do you also expect to be someone who shows up in a relationship if you've never really had experience in it, right? Just like kind of how Myron is preaching that you should have at least sex with 50
True.
girls before you get married or whatever.
But
Just
for
how,
his-
I think what he's trying to say is that you should build up sexual experience and understand female nature. How are you going to understand relationship dynamics when you are with a girl that you actually want to spend the rest of your life with? Shouldn't that be something that they're also
Yeah.
building experience in instead of just I guess chopping off your dick and not prioritizing family creation? I mean, why
Exactly.
else would you be talking to the opposite sex, right? I mean, of course, right? The easy answer is just for sex, but what if you actually do meet a girl that you
Yeah.
genuinely like and like
You want
having
to spend
conversations
our life
with?
on it.
yeah, dude, because your value doesn't go up until you're built something, and that's typically going to be in your 30s.
So most guys,
That's what he's saying.
What do they focus on? Girls the whole time. He's saying at this point in your career, when you're
Yeah.
on the way up, focus on things that are going to help you move forward in life and become successful.
And get a
instead of waiting
surgery
for-
done that prevents you from having children.
Yeah, but you can always reverse it. He's saying
That's not like a lot of the times that shit messes up. That's not something you could just like
But
hope that it's going to be okay.
generally most men can't control their urges, so what's going to happen is they're going to go fuck around and get
So
something
go
right.
learn!
This is
Then-
Go learn!
this is how you rise up
Yeah.
the path to become high status because
Yeah.
you're eliminating all variables that
Risk.
can fuck you up.
Yeah, it's about
That's
risk,
what he's saying.
risk mitigation right there.
How many dudes do you know that could have made it to the NBA or could have been a star and an athlete or something that got some chick pregnant?
Yeah.
Like kids, a lot of the
Way less than God because they were bad players or not putting like I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a distraction, but I think you're kind of twisting a bit the fact. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Guys wouldn't be in the. How many guys weren't in the NBA because they got some chick pregnant? You could have just said hang out with girls. Like that's what got my attention. Like why necessarily get her pregnant?
Times ruin dudes' futures because they
Karl
have kids
Malone.
prematurely.
Okay, that is an extremely small statistic and already a small statistic.
Yeah.
To be able to make it to the NBA where there's 450 roster spots at a time and millions of basketball players all over the world, that plus a basketball player that was going to make that 450th roster spot but wasn't able to because they had a kid, that's probably talking about only a handful of individuals.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the history of basketball. I mean, who knows, right? I don't know the exact statistic, but at least I don't know anyone like that. Maybe they do. Who knows?
So he's saying this is the path to becoming a high value man. And then
Is
once you
getting a
become that guy,
vasectomy.
once you become that guy,
Reverse
then
the
you can
vasectomy?
reverse the vasectomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Do
can.
you think that's good advice? I mean, that's good advice if your qualifications of a high value man is a guy with a big body count. But it might be like I thought.
No. He's talking about increasing your value as a man. You're basically what he's doing is he's retard proofing it.
Yeah.
If you have vasectomy and you bust nuts at girls, you're not going to have a kid, so you're not going to fuck up your future when
Yeah.
you're young and you're not in a position to raise that child. That's what he's saying.
We all know what is men's biggest weakness: women. And as a result, what happens is what's
That's
another
true.
factor
Love.
for not
Love,
having
I would
success?
say.
Having kids too early.
Emotions.
That's reality.
That's the number one wealth killer, dude.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah.
If you really look at it.
Killer?
Like, it's the
It's
number
what
one
it
wealth
is.
killer. Again,
Now,
Well, perhaps, and it could also be like your biggest motivator
Yeah.
too. But it obviously depends on the person and
Also.
kind of like your ambitions.
And
as
there are
well.
two-
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they say that the man's biggest weakness is a woman. So shouldn't you be able to build up the skills to be able
To be able to
deal
fight,
with like
yeah.
your weaknesses? I don't think risk mitigation, the fact of a vasectomy, is going to in any way contribute in your path to becoming this
Vasectomy, brother.
idealized high value man.
once again, we support families.
Yeah, we do.
But at the same time,
Do you? I mean,
No,
it
you
doesn't really
don't.
seem like it. But look, I don't know.
I don't
saying
think you
become
do.
Successful
You
at a young
can't say
age.
that you support families and also tell your audience to get a vasectomy.
Yes.
We didn't say that. We just said we're
You're
explaining-
toning the fence about
We're
it.
explaining why he said that.
Do you agree?
I understand why he said it.
No!
You're-
Fuck! He asked, do you agree? Like, you're nothing better than all those, like, you know, people who you destroy on these Instagram shorts and Instagram reels. YouTube shorts, Instagram reels. You're nothing better than them. Like, you got one guy who just asked you the question, who is smart enough, yeah, in the face of Sneeko. And you're melting down as well. You can't answer a simple question on a yes or no. Again, that's why you should always use your head and think what you actually see on the internet. Because oftentimes, you know, by thinking that someone's actually that smart or that, like, rational thinking, well, it gets tricky.
You're ducking- You see how you're ducking the question? It's a simple
But
question.
it's on me. It's not about me. It's about the generational.
I'm asking your opinion.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like these guys are always pressing these girls. That's literally like the entire concept of the show.
Literally the entire concept of the show. And the concept of all these shorts and reels, it's exactly the same. And Sneeko uses on them, hoping that, well, okay, if you use it, then probably you're, like, not doing it. But they're doing the same thing! Funny people.
Is challenging girls and showcasing kind of female delusion, but at this point, like
You're
these guys
as-
are kind of
as
like
delusional.
dodging their opinions to like the question. I don't know, and
Yeah,
I think
you're
maybe
as
part of it
delusional.
is because they really look up to this like role model. But come on, like I don't think there is a least form of respect than sucking up to someone and just agreeing with them because you look up to them. I think a better form of respect is actually challenging their beliefs and sharing your own opinions. I mean, you guys may have even personal experience too. Anyone who like sucks up to you, it's very, very hard to respect them. But
Exactly.
I'll just end it here, man. Good on Sneeko, man. Love how he's always kind of challenging his mind, man, and changing his opinions. So yeah, we might have to do another interview in the future. We'll
should.
see if schedules line up. Yeah, maybe you have to get that one in.
I
But
will
anyways,
react
if you
to
guys
it.
like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to check out more of the main channel stuff, then
Yeah,
links
same
in the
thing about
description.
this channel. If you want to check some more, if you want to enjoy, like, some other reactions, they're always on my YouTube channel. Point of the story, people. I will quote Barney Stinson on this. It's not legendary unless your friends are there to see it. This was zynoVII7 reacted to my boy Jan. For those of you on my stream, we're gonna watch another reaction. For those on you on YouTube, I'm saying till the next upload.